Have you ever caught yourself wondering, is she into me? Maybe you've noticed little things, her tone, her words, the way she looks at you, but you're not sure what they mean. Most women won't just come out and say, I like you. Instead, they drop subtle hints, little signals that can be easy to miss if you're not paying attention. That's why today, we're breaking down 6 key phrases a woman will say when she's developing feelings for you. And no, this isn't about playing games or decoding secret messages. It's about emotional intelligence, awareness, and connection. Things that both Stoicism and psychology teach us are essential for meaningful relationships. So stick around, because this isn't just a list of words. It's a deeper look at how to truly understand the way she feels. And once you recognize these signs, you'll never have to second guess again. Let's get into it. So why the subtle hints? Why not just say it directly? Well, think about it. Nobody wants to feel exposed, right? Putting yourself out there, opening your heart, and risking rejection. It's terrifying. And it's not just women who feel this way. Everyone deep down has that fear of being vulnerable and getting hurt. For women, though, it's often amplified by societal expectations. Whether we like it or not, there's still this lingering idea that women should wait for the guy to make the first move. Even in today's world, that pressure is very real. So instead of saying, I like you out loud, she might give little hints to gauge how you feel. It's her way of protecting herself while still trying to connect with you. Now, from a Stoic perspective, this makes perfect sense. Stoicism teaches us to understand that people's actions are often driven by their fears, their hopes, and their emotions. It reminds us to look beyond the surface, to focus on patterns, behaviors, and the things people don't say. Because sometimes what's left unsaid carries the deepest meaning. Think about this. How many times in life have you looked back on a moment and thought, oh, I completely missed what that person was trying to tell me? Maybe someone was opening up to you in a subtle way, and you didn't catch it because you were too focused on their words and not their tone, their body language, or the context. Stoicism reminds us to be present. Pay attention to the unspoken messages. Be aware of the emotional undercurrents in conversations. This doesn't mean overanalyzing every little thing someone says. It means being grounded and mindful, listening with empathy, observing without judgment, and responding thoughtfully. Subtlety isn't about playing games. It's about trust. When someone speaks to you in a subtle way, it's because they want to feel safe enough to open up. They're testing the waters. They're wondering, can I trust you with my feelings? Your job is to notice those moments. Pay attention when she lingers on a certain topic, or when her tone softens during a conversation. Notice when she brings up something you said days ago, or when she talks about how she feels when she's with you. These aren't random moments, they're signals, little signs that she's letting you into her inner world. This is something you need to remember. The more emotionally aware you become, the stronger your connections will be. Whether it's romantic, platonic, or even professional, relationships thrive on understanding. People want to feel seen and heard, and if you can give someone that feeling, you've already built a foundation for something meaningful. So, the next time you find yourself wondering what someone is feeling, don't just listen to their words. Pay attention to the way they say things, the context of the conversation, and what's happening between the lines. Let's start with the first phrase, when she values your opinion. Now, this one might seem harmless at first glance, like small talk, right? But it's so much more than that. When a woman starts asking for your opinion, it's not because she's looking for advice or a solution. It's because she genuinely values your perspective. Think about this. We don't ask just anyone what they think about something that matters to us. We ask people we respect, people whose opinions we care about. When she says, "What do you think about this?" she's doing two things at once. First, she's inviting you into her world, opening the door to a more personal, thoughtful conversation. And second, she's trying to figure out if you're on the same wavelength. You need to know this. Relationships that last aren't just built on attraction. They're built on shared values. And whether she realizes it consciously or not, that's exactly what she's doing. Seeing if your values, priorities, and way of thinking align with hers. It might be something simple, like asking what you think about a book she's reading or a movie she just watched. Or it could be something deeper, like a life decision she's pondering. Either way, it's not just casual chit-chat. She's testing for compatibility. Now, how should you respond when this happens? The key is to be honest, but also curious. You don't have to agree with everything she says. In fact, it's better if you don't force agreement just to impress her. What matters more is how you engage with her thoughts. For example, if she asks, "What do you think about moving to a different city for a job?" don't just give a quick answer and move on. Instead, take a moment to reflect and then say something like, "That's an interesting question. Here's my take. But I'd love to hear more about why you're thinking about it." Notice what that does? You're showing that you're not just interested in giving your opinion. You're showing that you care about her thoughts, her reasoning, her feelings, her experiences. That small shift in how you respond can make all the difference. You need to note this. When someone values your opinion, it's not just about the topic. It's about you. They want to know how you see the world. And when you respond thoughtfully, you're showing that you're emotionally present, engaged, and interested in getting to know her on a deeper level. It's subtle, but incredibly powerful. So next time you hear, "What do you think about?" don't brush it off as random conversation. Recognize it for what it is, a sign that she's opening up, trusting you with her thoughts, and maybe, just maybe, starting to picture you as someone who could be a meaningful part of her life. Now, let's move on to the second phrase. You're so different from other guys. At first you might think, okay, is this a compliment or just something people say? Let me tell you, it's a big deal. When she says you're different from other guys, it's not just a throwaway line. It's a signal. She's telling you that you stand out in her mind. And trust me, people don't say that unless they feel it. Think about what's happening here. She's spent time around other men, enough to know the difference. Maybe she's dealt with guys who didn't really listen, who were inconsistent, or who only cared about themselves. But with you, something feels refreshing. You're not following the same old script, and she's noticing it. Maybe it's your kindness. Maybe it's your calm, grounded energy. Or maybe it's the way you carry yourself, confident, but without arrogance. Whatever it is, you've made an impression. And here's where the psychology comes in. This taps into what's called the halo effect. When someone admires one particular trait in you, like your honesty or your emotional intelligence, it starts to spill over into how they see you as a whole. Suddenly, you're not just a good listener, you're someone who's kind, thoughtful, trustworthy, and, well, different. This is the issue you often run into. You don't want to overthink it or let it go to your head. The worst thing you could do is respond with, "Yeah, I get that a lot." That's not the vibe we're going for here. Instead, humility and curiosity will go a long way. A great way to respond is something simple, like, "That's really nice of you to say. I just try to be myself." This does two things. First, it shows confidence without coming across as cocky. You're acknowledging her compliment, but you're not fishing for more. Second, it opens the door for a deeper conversation. After that, follow up with, "What makes you say that? I'm curious. What do you see that's different?" See what you did there? You've kept the focus on her thoughts and feelings, showing that you care about her perspective. And here's why that matters. When someone gives you a compliment like this, it's often rooted in an emotional experience they've had with you. Asking her to explain gives her the chance to reflect on those moments. And when people reflect on positive experiences, it deepens their emotional connection. Maybe she'll say, "You actually listen to me," or "You don't judge me." Or maybe it's something as simple as, "You're just calm. You make me feel at ease." Whatever it is, it's going to reveal how she sees you. And those moments of reflection are powerful. Think about this. She's not just saying you're different for the sake of it. She's telling you that you're memorable, that something about you lingers in her mind when you're not around. And that's huge. Most people don't leave that kind of mark. So when she says you're different, pay attention. It's not just about being unique, it's about how you make her feel. And feelings are what form the foundation of any deep connection. This is one of the most powerful things a woman can say. When she feels safe around you, she's expressing emotional trust, the foundation of any strong relationship. In a world where people are constantly judged, misunderstood, or let down, emotional safety is hard to come by. If she tells you this, don't take it lightly. It means you've shown her something important, that you're trustworthy, consistent, and someone she can rely on without fear of judgment. Why does this matter so much? Well, from a psychological standpoint, feeling safe triggers the release of oxytocin, the bonding hormone. It's the same chemical that deepens the bond between a mother and her child. It's the same hormone that makes us feel connected to the people we trust. Emotional safety is the foundation of intimacy. Without it, there's no real connection. And here's where Stoicism comes in. Stoicism teaches us that building trust isn't about making grand gestures or saying all the right things. It's about consistency. It's about being reliable, showing up when you say you will, and being present when someone needs you. It's about listening without judgment and responding with empathy. Those are the virtues that create emotional safety. What you need to keep in mind here, you don't just get trust once and keep it forever. It's something you have to maintain through your actions. So, if a woman says, "I feel safe with you," your response matters. You need to acknowledge it and reinforce that feeling without overdoing it. A great way to respond is something simple like, "I'm really glad to hear that. It means a lot to me that you feel that way." Notice how that response keeps things calm and grounded. You're not turning it into a big, dramatic moment. You're acknowledging her feelings with sincerity and respect. And that's key. You want her to know that her emotional safety is important to you, but you don't want to overwhelm her with an intense reaction. Then, the most important part, back it up with your actions. Emotional trust isn't built through words alone. It's built through consistency over time. Keep showing up for her. Keep listening. Keep being the person she feels comfortable around. Because people can't fully be themselves until they feel safe. Emotional safety is what allows someone to let go of the masks they wear with the rest of the world. It's what creates the space for vulnerability, honesty, and deep connection. And when a woman tells you she feels safe with you, what she's really saying is, I trust you with the parts of me that I don't show everyone else. Think about that for a second. She's telling you that she feels comfortable enough to show her real self, the good, the bad, and even the messy. That's rare, and it's something to be handled with care. So how do you keep building that safety? It's simple, really. Keep your word. Be present. Pay attention to her needs, even the little ones. And above all, be someone she knows she can rely on, no matter what. Because at the end of the day, relationships are built on trust. And when someone feels safe with you, that's when the connection moves from surface-level attraction to something deeper, more meaningful, and lasting. Remember, words matter, but actions build the foundation. Keep showing up, keep being consistent, and that emotional safety she feels, it will only grow stronger. Let's move on to the next phrase, when your words stay on her mind. Now this one might catch you off guard the first time you hear it. You'll think, wait, she remembered that? It could have been something you said days ago, maybe even something you barely remember saying. But for her, it's stuck. And that's not random. When a woman brings up something you said, it means your words made an impact. They stayed with her. And that's a sign she's not just listening to be polite. She's emotionally and intellectually engaged with you. Think about how often we forget conversations that don't matter. We hear people talk all day long, coworkers, strangers, casual acquaintances, and most of it goes in one ear and out the other. But when someone remembers something you said and brings it up later, it's different. It means they've been reflecting on your words, processing them, and connecting them to their own thoughts and experiences. That's emotional investment. And here's why that's important. Relationships aren't just built on shared activities or physical attraction. They're built on intellectual compatibility, the ability to connect through meaningful conversations and ideas. If she's thinking about your words when you're not around, it means you've sparked something in her mind. That's not surface-level attraction. That's deeper interest. She's intrigued by the way you think. Now, how should you respond when she says this? Don't just brush it off with a casual, "Oh, really? That's cool." That's a missed opportunity to deepen the connection. Instead, show her that you appreciate her thoughtfulness. Say something like, "I'm really glad you brought that up. What were your thoughts?" Notice how that response does two things. First, it shows her that you're paying attention and that her thoughts matter to you. Second, it invites her to share more of what's on her mind. And when you do that, you're creating a space where she feels valued and heard, a space where deeper emotional intimacy can grow. Think about it this way. When someone brings up something you said, it's like they're handing you a piece of themselves. They're saying, "Hey, your words made me think, and I want to share my thoughts with you." That's a vulnerable moment, and how you handle it can either strengthen the connection or shut it down. From a psychological perspective, this also taps into the concept of mirroring. When someone reflects your thoughts back to you, it shows alignment. It makes you feel understood. And that feeling of understanding is one of the most powerful emotional drivers in any relationship. It's what makes people feel close. It's what makes them feel like they belong with you. Now, let's look at it from a Stoic perspective. Stoicism teaches us to be mindful of the impact our words have on others. Words carry weight. They influence thoughts, emotions, and actions. So, when someone tells you they've been thinking about what you said, it's a reminder of the power of mindful communication. It's not just about saying things for the sake of talking. It's about speaking with intention, sharing ideas that resonate and leave a lasting impression. And here's something important to keep in mind. When a woman brings up something you said, it's not just about the content of your words. It's about how those words made her feel. Maybe your perspective challenged her thinking. Maybe it gave her a new insight. Or maybe it simply showed her that you're someone worth paying attention to. Either way, she's signaling that your words and you are important to her. So when she says, "I was thinking about what you said," don't let that moment pass you by. Engage. Ask her what she was thinking. Dive deeper into the conversation. And most importantly, show her that you're grateful for the connection she's trying to build. Always keep this in mind. Relationships are about more than just being heard. They're about being understood. And when someone takes the time to reflect on your words, it's a sign they want to understand you on a deeper level. That's how trust is built. That's how emotional bonds are formed. And that's how something real begins to grow. So listen, stay curious, and keep the conversation going. Because those moments, they're where the magic happens. Let's dive into phrase number 5, when she introduces you to her world. Now, when she says this, it's more than just casual conversation. It's not, "Oh, I mentioned you in passing." No, this means you've been on her mind, enough that she wanted to share something about you with the people closest to her. And that's significant. People don't just bring someone up to their friends unless they feel there's something worth talking about. Her friends are part of her inner world. The people she trusts, the ones who give her advice, and the ones whose opinions she values. By telling them about you, she's making an emotional investment. She's letting you into her life, even if it's indirectly. And let's be real, women don't usually keep their feelings to themselves when it comes to their friends. If she's talking about you, there's a reason. She's testing the waters. She's curious to see how her friends react. Maybe she's wondering, will they see what I see in him? Or do they think we'd make a good match? This taps into something called social validation. It's human nature to want the people we care about to approve of our choices, especially when it comes to romantic interests. So when she tells her friends about you, it's her way of integrating you into her social circle. It's like she's mentally mapping out where you might fit in her life. Now here's where it gets interesting. Depending on what she says and how her friends react, this can either strengthen her feelings or make her question things. That's why your response matters. You want to show that you're flattered, but also curious. Because let's be honest, who doesn't want to know what someone said about them, right? A great way to respond is to keep it playful and light. "Wow, I'm flattered. What did you tell them?" This shows that you're not taking yourself too seriously, but you're genuinely interested. And here's the magic of that question. It opens the door for her to express more of her feelings. She might say something like, "I told them you're really thoughtful," or "I said you make me laugh." Pay attention to her answer, because whatever she told her friends is usually a reflection of what she values most about you. It's like a little window into her heart. And if she downplays it, don't worry. That's just her way of protecting herself from feeling too vulnerable. But trust me, the fact that she mentioned you at all is a big deal. It means she's picturing you in her world, beyond just the two of you. She's seeing how you fit into her broader life. Now, from a psychological perspective, this is a huge step in any relationship. People don't just introduce someone, even in conversation, to their friends unless they're emotionally invested. It's a way of anchoring the connection. Once her friends know about you, it makes things feel more real to her. And from a Stoic perspective, this is about cultivating meaningful relationships. Stoicism teaches us that life isn't lived in isolation. It's about community, shared experiences, and building bonds with others. So when someone includes you in their social world, even indirectly, it's a step toward a deeper, more connected life. But here's a little caution give for you. If you brush this off or act disinterested, it can send the wrong signal. She might think, oh, maybe I was too quick to bring him up. On the flip side, if you come on too strong, it can feel overwhelming. Balance is key. Keep it light, keep it curious, and keep it genuine. And here's something important to remember. If her friends are now aware of you, chances are they'll ask her about you. They'll want updates. So how's it going with him? Have you talked to him lately? And if her friends are rooting for you, it'll only strengthen her feelings. So, what's the takeaway here? When she says, I told my friend about you, she's inviting you into her world. It's her way of saying, you're someone I want to talk about. Don't underestimate how big that is. It's a sign that she's emotionally invested, that you've left an impression, and that she's seeing this connection as something worth sharing. Your job? Keep showing up as the person she felt was worth mentioning. Keep being thoughtful, kind, and present. Because once you've made it into someone's inner circle, even just in conversation, you're no longer just a passing thought. You're becoming part of her story. And that's how meaningful relationships start to grow. Now, let's talk about phrase 6, when she values your presence. At first glance, this might sound like a simple expression of gratitude, right? But trust me, it's much deeper than that. When a woman says, I really appreciate you, she's not just thanking you for a small favor or a random act of kindness. It's a heartfelt acknowledgement of the positive impact you've had on her life. We live in a world where people often take things for granted. We go through our day, crossing paths with countless people. But how often do we stop to express genuine appreciation? Rarely. So when someone takes the time to tell you they really appreciate you, it means you've done something significant. You've made her life better in some way, maybe by being consistent, kind, or just showing up when it matters most. This is something important you need to remember. When she says this, it's not just about what you've done. It's about who you are. She appreciates you, your presence, your energy, your influence in her life. Now, from a psychological perspective, expressing gratitude is a huge indicator of emotional investment. Research shows that gratitude strengthens emotional bonds and creates lasting connections. It's one of the most powerful ways to build trust and intimacy in a relationship. Why? Because it reinforces positive emotions. When someone feels appreciated, they're more likely to continue investing in that relationship. And how you respond when someone expresses gratitude can either deepen the connection or make it feel transactional. If you just say something generic like, oh thanks, it falls flat. It doesn't match the emotional depth of what she's sharing with you. Instead, make your response specific and sincere. Let her know that you see her, that you value what she brings to your life as well. For example, if she says, I really appreciate you, you can respond with something like, that means a lot to me. I really appreciate you too, especially for how thoughtful you are. Notice what that does. You've made it personal. You've taken her words and reflected them back with a specific example. This shows her that you're paying attention to her actions, her qualities, and the effort she puts into the relationship. And that's key to building emotional intimacy. Here's a pro tip for you. Don't just say you appreciate her. Show it through your actions. Gratitude isn't a one-time thing. It's something that's built over time through consistent care and attention. Keep showing up for her in ways that reinforce why she feels safe enough to express her appreciation in the first place. From a Stoic perspective, this moment is about recognizing the importance of mutual respect in relationships. Stoicism teaches us that true strength lies in understanding and appreciating the people around us. It's about being present, mindful, and intentional in how we treat others. So when someone expresses gratitude, a Stoic would remind us to pause, reflect, and reciprocate that appreciation with sincerity. Another thing you need to consider, when she says, "I really appreciate you," she's also testing the emotional waters. She's revealing a vulnerable part of herself, her feelings for you. It's her way of saying, "You matter to me." And if you respond with warmth and sincerity, it reinforces that emotional bond. Now, let's say you want to take it a step further. After expressing your gratitude, you can follow up with a thoughtful question to deepen the conversation. Something like, "What made you think of that? I'd love to know what's been on your mind." This shows that you're curious about her thoughts and feelings, and it invites her to share more about what she's been reflecting on. It keeps the emotional connection flowing. Expressing and receiving appreciation isn't just about romantic relationships. It's a practice that strengthens all relationships. It reminds people that they're seen, valued, and loved for who they are. So, when she says, "I really appreciate you," don't underestimate the weight of those words. They're not just about today's conversation. They're about the moments you've shared, the way you've made her feel, and the way she sees you in her life moving forward. Appreciation is one of the most powerful emotional currencies in any relationship. And when someone takes the time to tell you they appreciate you, that's your opportunity to deepen the bond through words, actions, and genuine care. By the end, what we all really want is to feel seen, valued, and appreciated for who we are. And when you can create that space for someone, that's when connections become something truly meaningful. So you've started noticing these signs. She's dropping hints, saying things like, "What do you think about?" or "I really appreciate you." You've caught on that these phrases carry more weight than they seem. Now what? What do you do when you realize she's developing feelings for you? This is where things get real, because how you respond to these moments can either bring you closer or push you apart. And trust me, you want to handle this with care. First things first, acknowledge her feelings. Look, it takes courage for someone to express emotions, even in subtle ways. Vulnerability is scary, and nobody wants to feel exposed. So when she opens up to you, even if it's through something small, like asking for your opinion or telling you she feels safe, don't brush it off. Don't laugh it away or change the subject because you're unsure how to respond. Instead, meet her halfway. Be present. Respond with kindness and sincerity. For example, if she says, "I told my friend about you," don't just nod and move on. Say something like, "That means a lot to me. I appreciate you sharing that." A simple acknowledgement like that can go a long way. It tells her, "I hear you, I see you, and your feelings matter to me." That's how trust is built. Next, use these moments to build the connection further. Relationships don't grow overnight. They deepen through consistent, meaningful interactions. So when she starts opening up, take it as an invitation to strengthen your bond. Spend quality time together. Ask questions. Share your own thoughts and feelings when the timing feels right. And here's a key point. Consistency is everything. If she feels safe with you today, make sure she feels safe with you tomorrow and the day after that. Emotional trust isn't a one-time achievement. It's built through steady, reliable actions over time. For example, if she's been reflecting on something you said, continue that conversation. Show her that you remember what she shared and that it matters to you. Something as simple as revisiting a topic she brought up shows that you're paying attention, that you care about what's on her mind. Now let's talk about common mistakes to avoid. The first mistake? Overanalyzing. Look, I get it. It's tempting to overthink every word, every glance, every text message. But don't drive yourself crazy trying to decode everything she says. Instead, focus on the bigger picture. Is she consistently opening up to you? Is she making an effort to connect? That's what really matters. Sometimes we get so caught up in trying to read the signs that we miss the most obvious one. She's spending time with you. She's choosing to engage with you. That alone speaks volumes. The second mistake? Reacting too strongly. It's easy to get excited when you start noticing these signs. Maybe you've been waiting for confirmation that she feels the same way. But here's the thing. Don't rush in with a grand declaration of love just because she said she appreciates you. That can be overwhelming. At the same time, don't swing too far in the opposite direction by acting aloof or indifferent. Relationships thrive in balance. You don't need to pour your heart out right away, but you also don't want to make her feel like her emotions are one-sided. Stay grounded, respond naturally. Let things unfold at a steady, comfortable pace. And finally, the third mistake? Taking it for granted. Just because she's expressed feelings doesn't mean the work is done. Relationships require ongoing effort. You can't stop paying attention once you think you've won her over. Think of it like tending a garden. You don't water a plant once and expect it to bloom forever. You keep showing up, nurturing it, and giving it what it needs to grow. The same goes for emotional connections. So, how do you keep things from getting stale? Stay curious about her. Keep showing her that you value her feelings through your actions. Small, consistent efforts, remembering little details, asking how she's doing, following through on your promises, make all the difference. And here's the biggest takeaway. Relationships are built on presence. Being present means paying attention, being mindful of her emotions, and showing up as your authentic self. It's not about perfect words or grand gestures. It's about creating a space where she feels seen, heard, and appreciated. So when you notice these signs, don't panic. Don't overthink it. Just be there, consistently, thoughtfully, and sincerely. That's how connections deepen. That's how trust grows. And that's how you build something real and lasting. Because at the end of the day, we all want the same thing. To feel safe, valued, and connected to someone who truly gets us. And when you can be that person for someone, it's a gift. One that can grow into something beautiful if you let it. At the core of every relationship is understanding. These 6 phrases aren't just words. They're windows into her emotions. Subtle invitations to connect on a deeper level. But recognizing them is only the beginning. What truly matters is how you respond. Stoicism teaches us that while we can't control how others feel, we can control how we show up. kindness, empathy, and patience create the space where trust grows. It's not about overanalyzing or chasing certainty. It's about being present, paying attention, responding with intention. When she asks for your opinion, when she values your presence, when she feels safe with you, these are moments that matter. Show her she's heard. Keep showing up. Because real, lasting connections aren't built overnight. They're nurtured moment by moment through simple acts of care and consistency. Love isn't a mystery. It's something you cultivate. Thanks for being with Stoic Heart on this journey today. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our latest videos. We'd love to hear your thoughts or suggestions for future topics, so drop a comment below. See you in the next video.